Ongoing legal dispute over the Gyanvapi complex in Varanasi, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has called it a historical mistake and that calling Gyanvapi a mosque would spark a dispute. He also asked the Muslim side to step forward to find a solution to this issue. Here's a detailed report.
देखिए, अगर हम उसको मस्जिद कहेंगे तो फिर विवाद होगा. हमें ज्ञानवापी बोल देना चाहिए.
The Gyanvapi is not a mosque, declares Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, a statement that raises the stakes in the Kashi Vishwanath dispute now being heard by the courts.
ये प्रस्ताव मुस्लिम समाज की तरफ से आना चाहिए.
क्या ज्ञानवापी मस्जिद को लेकर प्रॉब्लम का कोई सोल्यूशन है?
देखिए, अगर हम उसको मस्जिद कहेंगे तो फिर विवाद होगा. हमें ज्ञानवापी बोल देना चाहिए. मुझे लगता है कि भगवान ने जिसको दृष्टि दी है वो देखे ना. त्रिशूल मस्जिद के अंदर क्या कर रहा है? ज्योतिर्लिंग हैं, देव प्रतिमाएं हैं. अगर हम उसको
The Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister, speaking to a news agency, called the mosque a historical mistake that needs correction.
हमने तो नहीं रखे ना. ज्योतिर्लिंग हैं. और मुझे लगता है कि ये प्रस्ताव मुस्लिम समाज की तरफ से आना चाहिए कि साहब ऐतिहासिक गलती हुई है और उस गलती के लिए हम चाहते हैं समाधान हो.
Chief Minister Adityanath's statement comes ahead of the Allahabad High Court's verdict on ASI survey at the Gyanvapi complex expected on August 3rd. The Muslim petitioner who has challenged a lower court order allowing the survey said that no statements should be made outside the court.
मेरा ये मानना है कि जब कोई मामला सब जुडिशियल हो तो उस पर कोर्ट के बाहर किसी भी तरीके की बयानबाजी नहीं होनी चाहिए. कोर्ट के बाहर गुफ्तगू करने का ही ये नतीजा रहा कि मुल्क में बड़े पैमाने पर हिंदू मुसलमानों के दरमियान टेंशन बढ़ी है.
The Hindu petitioner welcomed Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath's statement.
सत्य को स्वीकार करना या किसी से कहना कि सत्य को स्वीकार कर लीजिए, तो गलती क्या है? ये तो मुस्लिम पक्ष को उन्होंने जगाया है कि आप सो रहे हो. आप देखो इतिहास क्या है.
The opposition has trained their guns on the Chief Minister.
देखिए, ये इसको कहते हैं मुख्यमंत्री इस बात को जानते हैं कि इलाहाबाद हाई कोर्ट में एएसआई सर्वे के बारे में मुस्लिम पक्ष ने उसकी मुखालिफत की है. वो आजकल में हाई कोर्ट जजमेंट देने वाली है. आप मुख्यमंत्री है, कानून को फॉलो करिए. आप कानून को फॉलो नहीं करना चाह रहे. वो मुसलमानों पर प्रेशर डालना चाह रहे, दबाव डालना चाह रहे हैं.
देखिए, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल हाईएस्ट पोस्ट पे बैठे हुए किसी भी शख्स को इस तरह की गैर जिम्मेदाराना बात नहीं करना चाहिए. जब कोई भी मामला अदालत में हो, कोर्ट में हो, तो चीफ मिनिस्टर को ऐसी भाषा करके ये बात समझ में आती है कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने योगी आदित्यनाथ जी को जो ध्रुवीकरण की कमान है वो उनको दे दी है.
अगर हम उसको मस्जिद कहेंगे तो फिर विवाद.
Should a chief minister have commented on a matter that is sub judice? Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath's reiteration that the Gyanvapi is not a mosque but a temple has raised questions of propriety.
ये प्रस्ताव मुस्लिम समाज की तरफ से आना चाहिए.
Bureau Report, India Today.
ऐसी गलती हुई है और उस गलती के लिए हम चाहते हैं समाधान हो.
Now, the legal battle has had twists and turns for many, many months now. Now, the Archaeological Survey of the mosque is on hold till the 3rd of August. The Muslim side has filed a petition in the Allahabad High Court and there is a stay on that ASI survey until August the 2nd. So, August the 3rd is when the Allahabad High Court will then pick up that issue and pronounce on it. The petition was challenging the Varanasi court's survey order to the Archaeological Survey of India. The Allahabad High Court has reserved its order in the matter and will make that verdict known on the 3rd of August. The judgment is to be delivered on that day, and depending on what the Allahabad High Court decides, it could either stop the survey or pave the way for that Archaeological Survey of India survey at the Gyanvapi complex. Vishnu Shankar Jain is live and exclusive with me here in the India Today studio. Vishnu ji, welcome. My first question to you, sir, is what do you make of Chief Minister Yogi's statement in this interview?
See, I feel and I believe that the facts of Gyanvapi are very, very glaring. And if someone in the society does not want to admit these glaring facts, for example, the Western Wall, For example, the Hindu Mandir Shikhars which are present beneath the 3 central domes. For example, the pillars which are there in the various parts of Gyanvapi which are Hindu Mandir pillars. For example, there are various defaced idols. For example, there are various idols which are in broken and mutilated condition. For example, there are shloks of Sanskrit, trishul, swastik, number of chins, shivling in the Vazu tank. If apart from these many facts, if someone says that it's a mosque, then I think this litigation we are fighting before the courts of law, and we will make all endeavors to prove before the court of law that this is not a mosque but this is an old temple structure.
You know, the comments made by Yogi Adityanath have been, they have in many ways been interpreted as overreach by a politician, since this issue is currently in court. Vishnuji, you've got the AIMIM, you've got the Samajwadi Party saying it's totally inappropriate for the Chief Minister to make such comments because he's in a position of power. What do you think?
See, let me just put this legal position before you very straight. And the legal position is that UP government is not having any formal role in the litigation or any very important role in the litigation. This is a list between Anjuman Intizamiya and Hindu devotees. So if UP government was playing an active role as a litigant, then ideally whatever is the allegation, I would have said that yes, that allegation is correct. And if UP government is litigating as a litigator in the case, then a Chief Minister or a head of the state shouldn't have made such a statement. But UP government is not a litigator in this matter. This is a litigation between Anjuman Intizamiya and Hindu devotees. Apart from that, I want to ask and say very, very carefully and with lot of sense of responsibility, there is no order from the Supreme Court or the High Court or the District Court Varanasi restraining anyone from speaking on the issue. This issue is in the public domain. Everyone is seeing in the country the pictures which are being played by various television channels as well as your channels, and we are debating upon those pictures and we are forming an opinion. Can someone restrict anyone from forming an opinion? This Western Wall, if I am having a view that this Western Wall, or a Chief Minister of State is having a view that this Western Wall is a ruins of a Hindu temple, what's wrong in it? He can have his own view, but ultimately the law will take its own course and the matter will be settled before the court of law. And under section 89 of the CPC, as a politician and as a head of the state, every endeavor can be made to settle the matter before the final verdict. It happened in Ram Mandir case in 2010. It happened before the Supreme Court in 2019, where all the legislators had taken active part in settling the dispute.
Okay, but the important point here, of course, is that this needs to be settled in court, even though what the UP Chief Minister has said, has set the political agenda, and that's why you're seeing all these reactions. Vishnuji, my third question to you is, we've seen Yogi Adityanath refer to very specific symbols like the trishul inside the complex, which is something you are very familiar with. You have submitted details, about this to court. We've seen very specific Hindu imagery, like the trishul, what could be, claimed to be the faces of deities, etc. You've submitted all of this in court. What can you tell us about these symbols? Because this is precisely what is under dispute right now and will be the subject of a survey.
See, the most important evidence in the so-called structure which is called a Gyanvapi mosque is the name itself. There is no name called Gyanvapi under any Islamic literature. Under any Islamic literature, point number one. Point number two, the second best piece of evidence is the Western Wall. Western Wall is not constructed by Aurangzeb. I am today saying on your channel with lot of sense of authority. And when the ASI survey will happen on the Western Wall, it will prove to hilt that this Western Wall is prior in time than 1669. Then the third most important piece of evidence is the 3 shikhars of Hindu Mandir, which are beneath the central dome, then beneath all 3 domes. Then apart from that, the pillars on which the so-called mosque is standing, that pillars are pillars of Hindu temple. The bells are there existing at the site in question. The trishul is there, swastik is there, defaced idols are there, mutilated idols are there, Sanskrit shloks are there, swastik chins are there, number of signs are there. Apart from that, shivling is there in the Vazu tank, and there is still a way which is going beneath the central dome to go down, and in the basement that inquiry and investigation has to be made. So that so-called structure is full of signs and symbols which shows and demonstrates that this is not a Islamic architecture, this is not a structure which is built by Aurangzeb, and therefore we are asking for Archaeological Survey of India to survey that entire area and submit its report before the Honorable Court.
So that survey, Vishnuji, is on hold till August the 2nd. Are you hopeful of a favourable order from the Allahabad High Court? What are you doing in the interim? And also give us a sense of what that survey will actually look like.
See, the survey which is going to happen, which is sub judice before the Honorable Allahabad High Court, the verdict is going to be delivered on 3rd of August. And as a litigator, as a lawyer representing one side, I believe and I feel that we have been able to convince the court, and the Honorable Court will give a judgment in our favor, thereby directing the Archaeological Survey of India to conduct a survey over the premises in question. And if such an order is passed, I feel and I believe the Archaeological Survey of India has also submitted an affidavit before the Honorable Court saying that we will not damage or destroy the structure, and without damaging or destroying the structure, this entire survey will be done. Archaeological Survey of India is the premier institution of the country, which is known for protecting and preserving a monument. It is never known for destroying or damaging any structure. So these are the contents of the affidavit which has been filed by the Archaeological Survey of India, and I feel that when this survey will happen, there are a lot of modern techniques which will be used by the Archaeological Survey of India. For example, the ground penetrating radar, there will be dating methods, relative dating methods. Apart from that, there will be other modern techniques including the satellite, and then imagery will be done, measurement will be done, mapping will be done, and then Archaeological Survey of India will ultimately submit a report.
Do you think that this entire issue can be settled amicably, or do you think it's going to take a very, very long time?
See, there can be amicable settlement, but the issue is this, that there has to be a proposal, and the proposal has to be I am very, very categorical on your channel. The proposal has to be this, that the Anjuman Intizamiya has to give us peaceful possession of that property in question. Very, very peaceful possession they have to give. If they do not give us peaceful possession, then we are fighting our case before the courts of law, and we will get a verdict from the Honorable District Court Varanasi saying that we have right to worship there, and the title and possession of this entire area, Khasra number 9130, belongs to Hindu Paksh.
But is there any possibility of that, Vishnuji? I mean, very practically speaking, because even the Chief Minister in his interview has said, I feel there should be a proposal from the Muslim society that there has been a historical mistake and we need a solution. That is precisely what is under dispute. You know, see, why would anyone come out and say, let's have a peaceful solution?
See, if someone wants to have a peaceful solution and someone wants to say that, all right, look here, we have committed a mistake in the past and we are not able to prove our case in the courts of law, so it's better than facing a verdict from the court if they leave the premises, and then it will give a good message of brotherhood between the two communities. That will be a welcome step. But if that is not going to happen, definitely we are fighting our case before the Varanasi Civil Court, before the High Court, before the Supreme Court, and we will prove to the hilt. I am telling you again with greatest sense of responsibility, we will prove to the hilt that this structure is not built by Aurangzeb in 1669.
Vishnu Shankar Jain, thank you very much for speaking to India today on this issue. It's an emotive issue. It's one that goes to the heart of, many people's sentiments as well on both sides. So we'll keep a close track of this situation. We will only report the facts on this case. The Chief Minister of UP, no less, has weighed in on it. He is not a litigant. He is not a party to this entire thing. But his word most definitely counts in the context of what's happening in Uttar Pradesh. Vishnu Shankar Jain, thank you very much for speaking to India today. And like I said, the Allahabad High Court will be pronouncing its verdict concerning the Archaeological Survey of India survey at the Gyanvapi complex on August the 3rd. Here's a complete detailed report now on the Gyanvapi issue itself. Here's an explainer of where things are at up until this point.
So in the Gyanvapi mosque, this is the Wuzu Khana area where the court-appointed commissioners came first to survey. You see this water, this is the Wuzu Khana where the Muslim devotees wash their hands and feet and then they head out for prayers. Now the court-appointed commissioners asked the water that you see here to be emptied out to find out what is exactly underneath. And then when the water started to be emptied out, the details emerged. What you saw here were these stairs leading down as I walked down this area, and a well. Now, of course, the questions were, what is this well? What is in it? All of those questions were asked by the court-appointed commissioners, but this was only after the water was emptied out. What did the commissioners find out? So this well on your screens is exactly right now the flashpoint that it has become. So what is in this well? When the court-appointed commissioners came, they noticed in what appeared to be something inside the well. Now the Hindu side is convinced that this is exactly the Shivling, representative of Lord Shiva. The Muslim side has objected to it and said this is a fountain that is used for the wuzu khana. Now, as you look closely as what is underneath there, the court-appointed commissioners asked, what are these lines that you see on top of what the Hindu side claims is a shivling? Now, the Muslim side said, and those present at the premises, that these cuts are used for the fountain and eventually for the wuzu khana. The commissioner said then they decided to use a stick or an instrument to dig through these cuts to find out what is the source of the water and where is it for the fountain. Now, it just went through few inches. They could not exactly locate the source of the water, to which the Muslim side replied and said that it is an old fountain, may not be in use right now, but it is a reason that it is used for that. Now, of course, this precisely has become a flashpoint at this point between the two sides. Now, interestingly, there are demands that underneath this floor as well, there's another floor. There are hidden vaults and they need to be explored as well. That, well, will only happen only after a further survey and if the court really gives an order for it. As of now, this area around me is sealed, but it's a hot, heated debate that is now going on for days and clearly will likely continue. And remember, whether it is the AIMIM or it is the BJP, both sides currently at loggerheads over this big issue of the country. And with this Gyanvapi premises, there are demands from across the country asking for various temples now to be acknowledged that were demolished, according to them, to build a mosque.
That's it on India First. Thanks so much for watching. See you at the same time tomorrow. Business Today with Abha Bakaya comes up next.
In politics, everyone has an opinion, but I have the data. Whose stock is rising? Whose graph is falling? Track India's political stock exchange. Unmatched, unmissable data analytics. The only show on News TV where numbers do the talking. India's most credible poll tracker. The Political Stock Exchange with Rahul Kamal, only on India Today. Start by talking to you, Nick Clegg, about artificial intelligence and the manner in which it is capturing global imagination. And the biggest question of them all, who should regulate artificial intelligence? At Meta, sitting where you are in your global perch, how are you looking at this key question?
The first thing to say is AI is not new. It's been around for decades. There's a lot of hype at the moment around something called generative AI.
Sure.
Do you remember when ChatGPT burst onto the scene and you can ask it to write your school history essay or your wedding speech and it produces this beautiful text? And that, of course, has captured imagination. But I think it's somewhat obscured the reality that AI has been around for years. I mean, at Meta, for instance, we've been using AI for ages. Anything you see on Facebook or Instagram has in one way or another been touched by AI already. I think how to regulate them is a question of first working out what harms and problems you're trying to deal with. Is it intellectual property and copyright? Is it misinformation? And then ask yourself whether the current laws we have on the statute book are sufficient or not. And I suspect it'll be a mixture of the two. Some of the existing laws we have will be able to be applied to AI and some new laws will be required. I hope, this is my hope, that as those new laws develop,